So just to explain a little bit about me, that's me. I'm the owner of Dr. Marketing. I've been running the company since 2014, but I've actually been in the dental space since 2008, working in both advertising and telecom. Anybody have any questions about my background? Perfect. On to the next one. Now, common marketing questions. There are 5 questions that come up whenever we start going down the path for advertising. Very first question, how much money do I spend? Everyone wants to know what they should spend for their practice. Next is, what platform should I use to market? Sorry, I'm like screaming at you because there's some movement in the back. I don't know what they're doing back there. So what platform should you use to market? Should you advertise on Google? Should you advertise on social? Should you hand out flyers? Should you advertise on dating websites? Not getting any matches? Swipe right for a new smile. Right? Surprisingly, it works. Next, who should I promote my ads to, both geographically and demographically? Also, how do I rank higher on Google? And then my personal favorite, what happens if I do this and it doesn't work? So I'm going to answer all of these questions. Now, this is the last time I'm going to ask, does anybody have any questions on this particular page? Specifically something that you were hoping to get answers on outside of what I've already mentioned here. This is the only time I'm going to ask for you questions. No? Awesome. On to the next one. So, top 16 things we want to do for your practice. Very first thing we want to take a look at are domains. Now, there are 2 types of domains. You have keyword-based domains and you have business name domains. So a business name domain is exactly what it sounds like. It's like brandondentistry.com. That's how people who know you are able to find you. Then you've got keyword-based domains. Keyword-based domains are typically tied to a service, location, or industry. Okay, so if brandondentistry.com was taken, I would register something like losangelesfamilydentist.com or like dental implants in losangeles.com. Like, you know, something that you might be passionate about in an area that you're in. Now, when you do register a business name domain, you want to protect your identity. And what I mean by that is that there are lots of different suffixes. A suffix is the ending of a domain, like .com and .biz and .net, right? There's lots of different endings, tens of thousands of them. There's only 5 that are most recognized in the United States. .com, .net, .biz, .info, and .org. So what you want to do is you want to register brandondentistry.com, brandondentistry.net, .biz, .info, and .org. The reason you do that, well, for 2. 1, the patient is more likely to click on one of those domains rather than like a .dental or like a .me. The other reason is if your competitor wants the same name as Brandon Dentistry in another city or even in another state or even in another country, primarily they're going to only register one of those 5. If one of those 5 is taken, or if all 5 of those are taken, they will not register Brandon Dentistry. They will go after a different name instead because it's too complicated. So instead, what you want to do is you want to register biz, info, net, org, and com of the same business name, just different suffix. Okay? Now, for keyword-based domains, you don't do that. For keyword-based domains, it's just .com and away you go. Now, for keyword-based domains, do not register multiple domains just for the sake of owning them. Google honestly doesn't care. The only thing Google cares about is that there is a domain and there is a website attached to it. Everything else that's forwarded does absolutely 0 for search engine optimization. So do not waste your money registering multiple domains because they do absolutely nothing for you. The only reason I'm suggesting you do that for your business name is because it protects your identity. Now, domains are public knowledge, which means if I'm a spammer, I could find your domain, I could scrape all your business and personal information off of it, and I can sell it to 1,000 people to spam the hell out of you until the end of time. So to prevent that from happening, what you do is you add a security blanket to the domain that redacts all of your personal information from being visible. So instead of seeing your contact info, it would just say redacted for everything. Domains typically will cost anywhere between about 20 to 30 bucks depending on the suffix. The security for the domain can cost anywhere between $5 and $20 a year. So domains are not pricey. Even if you get 5 of those business name domains, it's still only a couple $100. Okay? Next are emails. Now, just by a show of hands, how many of you have a custom email for your office? Like info@brandondentistry.com. 4, 5, 6, 7, right? So a custom email, the reason why you want this is because, well, for several reasons. One, if you've got a Gmail, Yahoo, AOL, tech support, or whatever, .com, you have an average of about 80% you're going to be going into the patient's spam box. So when you email a new patient, if you wonder why they're not emailing you back, it's probably because they never even got the message. And that's how free email accounts work. A spammer sets up an email, spams 1,000 people, sets up an email, spams 1,000 people. So when you have one of these emails communicating with your patients, you wonder why you're not getting as many messages back. With custom emails, it's only 12%. So if I set up an email like reception@brandondentistry.com, chances are I'm going to go into the spam box 12% of the time instead of 80% with a free email account. Okay? Next is it looks much more professional. Rather than your email coming from dentaltemp101@gmail.com, it comes from a branded email address. And patients are smart. You email them asking for their patient records just to make sure that they know you're not fishing for information. They're going to take the suffix of your email, they're going to pop it into Google, and it's going to populate your website. You can't do that from a Gmail account. So this is why it's very important to make sure that you set up a custom email for your practice. Now with medical emails, there are a lot of extra things that you want to add in. One of those things is data backup. If you accidentally delete something, you can easily restore it. Malware protection helps fight against viruses. If you get an email that says, hey, click here for your invoice, and you're like, okay, and you click on it, and then all of a sudden you have a Trojan virus on your computer, that software, that piece of security will help make sure that when you click on that message doesn't migrate the virus to your computer. Anti-phishing software means that if you get an email from a known spammer, that email goes straight to your spam box and not your inbox. Email encryption. How email encryption used to work is that if I went to go send you a message, it would say, hey, Brandon sent you a message. And then you'd have to log into a secure portal, see my message, reply to me, and then I'd get a message saying that, hey, you replied, and then I have to go back and log in to a secure portal, reply back, and that's how secure messages used to be. How many of you know for a fact you're using like Microsoft or Google's G Suite program? Do you know for a fact it's like Google's G Suite or Microsoft Office 365? They have automatic encryption, which means if I send you a message, you just automatically get the message, and it's you that's opening it, nobody else. If anybody else intercepts it through hacking, they're not going to see anything. It's going to be just total jumble, okay? Desktop and mobile integration means that if the email is read or replied to on your phone, it's also read and replied to on the opposite device. And then 50 gigs of storage. Honestly, that's enough for 250,000 emails. Nobody's going to go through that in their lifetime. Maybe if you send a lot of patient records, but that's a lot of space. Next is your website. So we got the domain, we got the domain, the email. Now let's talk about the website. So how websites have been designed over the last 30 years is basically a website host will design a server or build a server and design websites for those servers. Then they will sell you those websites. Now, a website design company typically does not make a lot of money on hosting services. So instead, what the marketing company or the website design company is going to do is they're going to set up another server with better websites. And then they're going to try to sell you those websites. Then they're going to do it again every 6 months like clockwork. Better servers, better technology, better websites. And in order for you to get these, you have to pay to upgrade. Now, if you don't pay to upgrade, what ends up happening is that your website starts to develop problems because those older servers stop being maintained. So what ends up happening is that your website doesn't properly load, or there's a widget that's broken, security license isn't renewed, or oops, nothing's here, 404 page error. These issues are quite common. Okay? So what you want to do is you want to work with a marketing company or a web design company that when they introduce new technology, they just give it to you. It's just so much easier to maintain someone's website when you don't have to rebuild it every 2-3 years. Instead, when a new piece of technology comes out that can either automate messaging, or it can have proper security or better formatting, you should work with somebody who can literally just give it to you. So every now and then you might notice small changes on your website, and that's a good thing because the website is meant to be maintained as time goes on. Okay? So, some important things to keep in mind. When you are building a website, you've got to review it constantly. Okay? So when you're building it initially, you have to pay attention to 3 things. You've got to pay attention to the structure. This is how the website is ultimately going to look. Like the logo goes here, the navigation tabs go there. After that is the content. This is the videos, the pictures, the colors, the verbiage that's on the website itself. And then you have to pay attention to the technology. So if I click this button, it goes here. If I click that button, it goes there. Okay, so you've got to pay attention to all three of these things. And just to make sure that when you are building a website, you want to make sure that it's simple. Now, I'm not talking one page simple. I'm saying don't scroll 10, 15 times to get to the bottom of your page, right? Or when you are scrolling down your website, don't have a phone number like, hey, here's a piece of info, call me now. Hey, here's a piece of info, call me now. Hey, here's a piece of info, call me now. Right? Like, don't do stuff like that. You want to make sure that your website is simple and gives direct information. You want to review it, not all the time, but once every 3 to 6 months. You have staffing changes, holiday hour changes, maybe contact information has changed, or services or new pieces of technology you want to add into your website. You can't solely rely on your website developer to know exactly what has changed in your business. You have to tell them. You want to test out all the links all the time. So if you are linking to a third party like a school or an association, make sure that those pages are still active. And then you want to update it. So if you do notice that there are problems, update them. It's not, just so we're on the same page, most website changes can be done in less than 5 minutes. like literally if we had, I could take anything that you want. Like you say, hey, I have a new staff member, here's their bio and picture. I could create a brand new page in less than 5 minutes, optimized in everything. It is not complicated to do changes these days, okay? Now, once the website's built, you want to optimize it. Now, there are two types of optimization. You've got static and you've got dynamic. Static keywords are built per page, meaning I've got a page for root canal, so on those keywords are going to be sensitive tooth, root canal, tooth pain. If I have, let's say, an implant page, it's going to say missing tooth, replace a tooth, dental implant. You know, if I've got emergency, it's going to say cracked tooth, chipped tooth, bleeding gums, emergency dentist. So if somebody goes online and types in one of those keywords, that specific page will show up. Everyone with me on that so far? Now, a dynamic combination is a complement to the static. Meaning, if I just have the word emergency dentist, a static keyword, near me is dynamic. Emergency dentist open now. Emergency dentist open weekends. Female emergency dentist who speaks Spanish. Child emergency dentist. So you can have 5, 10, 50, or 100 different dynamic combinations attached to one single static keyword. And this is why optimization is typically a paid service, because you could have tens of thousands of keywords on your website with all the different dynamic combinations. Okay, everyone's with me on that so far? Okay. Next, you want to make sure that your specifically your static keywords are page specific. Static keywords page specific, because you want to draw the right traffic to the right page. Imagine this, somebody's looking for a pediatric dentist, but you've accidentally added your peds keywords to the implant page. So when that parent lands on the implant page, what do you think the parent's going to do? Bye, I'm going to bounce out of your website. I'm going to leave. The more people who bounce, the more people who leave, the lower your ranking on Google. So you have to make sure that your keywords are page specific. Then what you want to do is you want to combine your keywords. So emergency dentist is static, near me is dynamic, but it doesn't have to stop there. How many of you ever heard of a meta phrase? A phrase, okay? A meta phrase, it takes a keyword to the next level. Basically, it adds a sentence of what somebody could potentially type in, like emergency dentist who deals with chipped teeth near me. So emergency dentist is a static, chipped teeth is a static, near me is a dynamic. So you can start combining your individual keywords into phrases. Now, I'm going to answer this question, or I'm going to talk more about this in just the next slide, but the phrase is 50% of the searches what people do online. 50% of the searches are people searching up like dentist near me or emergency dentist open now and stuff like that. The other 50% are question related, and I'm going to talk about it in my next slide. Next, you want to replace your keywords. People don't search for teeth whitening the same in September than they do in March. So you want to make sure that you are removing and adding your keywords as time goes on. Okay? Because if you had 100 keywords on one page, 50% of your keywords are good, 50% of them suck. Okay? The ones that suck are drawing the ranking of that page down. The lower the page ranks, the lower the overall website ranks. So what you want to do is you want to remove the low-ranking keywords and replace them with new ones in hopes that all keywords rank high. The higher each keyword ranks, the higher the page ranks, the higher the overall website ranks. Everyone with me on that? Okay, and I'll explain how to do this in just a couple of slides. So to answer that phrase question, how you show up for more phrases, you're going to do this through a blog. So everyone knows what a blog is, they don't really know how it works. A blog is built through something called an RSS feed. It's called a Romeo Sal feed, RSS. This is basically a special type of feed you add to your website that when you republish your site, it sends a notification to search engines to come back to your website to rescan for content. So it's very important to make sure that anytime you add a blog to your site, you're building it through the right technology. Okay? Because if you just add a blog to your website, not through an RSS feed, you publish content, Google doesn't care. They'll just come back and scan your website every 3 months like everybody else. Specifically, RSS feed. Now, what you want to do when you build out the blog backend is you want to give the RSS feed 3 pieces of information. You want to give it who you are, where you are, and what you do. I'm a dentist, I'm in LA, these are the services I offer. So when somebody in LA is looking for a dentist who offers emergency service, they know to have your blog show up for that individual's search. So it's very important to make sure you set up the back end of the blog the right way. Then what you're going to do is you're going to figure out your keywords that you're going to use to put in your blog. So blog content is not just like, hey, I want to write blog content about Invisalign. It's like, okay, well, why are you writing it about Invisalign? Is Invisalign the right thing you should be writing about right now? So what you need to do is you need to work with a system called Google Search Console. Okay, it's a free system you plug into your website that allows you to see every single keyword you show up for. And it tells you how many clicks you're getting and what position you are on Google for each keyword. Then what you're going to do is you're going to combine your keywords. So these are the keywords for endodontics, these are the keywords for cosmetic, these are the keywords for teeth whitening or for implants or for root canals or whatever, okay? Then what you're going to do is you're going to rank those categories based on how much traffic each one generates. Then you're going to write content for this top ranking category. Why would I write content for abscesses if it doesn't produce any traffic? It's a complete waste of my time and it's a waste of your money. So instead what we should do is be writing content based on what people are actually searching. Okay? Now, you're going to write the content, but you're going to pay attention to a few pieces of information. One is that you want to post every 2 to 4 weeks. If you don't, that RSS feed loses its value. So when you do republish again, Google doesn't care. So you kind of have to rebuild that authority with Google in order for them to come back and scan your website when you publish a new piece of content. So it's very important to make sure you keep the RSS feed active by posting every 2 to 4 weeks. Next, you want to include a minimum of 50 keywords per post. You want to limit your content between 750 and 2,000 words. And you want to use custom images and videos. And I'm not talking personal pictures, right? Like, here's a picture with an implant patient, right? Like, smile, and then I put it on my blog. You don't want to do that. Instead, what you want to do is you could use personal pictures like that, or what most people do on a blog is they use a stock photo and then just put a filter of your color over it as like a filter over the picture, or you can put your logo in the bottom right-hand corner, something like that. Okay? Now, there are specific places you need to optimize, whether it's a normal page on your website or a blog page. One of those things that you need to do, one of the places you need to optimize is in the tab of the browser itself. Next is in the URL suffix after the .com or .ca. Next are the navigation tabs. So if you've ever Googled a business and you've seen like home, about, services, contact, that's what that is. So you've got to make sure your navigation tabs are not too long. Then is the page header. Now, there's about 200 things that Google looks at, all of which I'm explaining now and throughout the rest of this presentation. This one, in my opinion, is like a top 5. Maybe it's like the second thing that they consider to be important for showing up on Google, is the page header. It needs to be static and dynamically optimized. In this sense, it's actually 2 statics and a dynamic, because I could just do bad breath, but I also said treatment, bad breath treatment in Victoria. Now, the reason why I said treatment and not, symptoms or causes is because when I looked at the categories for this particular page, treatments was like up here and symptoms and causes was down here. So what I'm doing is I'm appealing to the masses. More people are going to come to the page if they see bad breath treatment rather than bad breath causes. Okay? Next is the page summary. This provides Google with a synopsis of what the page is about. Next is the content on the page itself. Now the content, again, needs to be ranked according to how much traffic it generates, just like the blog does. So you look at all your keywords, and then you put either treatment, causes, or symptoms first, second, and third as you move down the page. Okay? You want to appeal to the masses. What's the primary reason somebody will come to that individual page? And that's the order in which you put the content. Next, title and description. In my opinion, this is the #1 thing that Google looks at, because they lift this from your website and stick it right on the search engine. Anytime you Google anything, all of you can Google something right now, and that every search result is going to see a title for the search result and a description for what that search result is about. Okay, everyone knows what I'm talking about. Yes, okay. So you can manipulate the title and description for every single page of your website. Too many times I've seen like Brandon Dentistry Cosmetics, Brandon Dentistry Implants, Brandon Dentistry Pediatrics. Okay? You're writing the title and description for two people. You're writing it for Google, so it has to be keyword rich, and you're writing it for the patient, so they want to click on it. So what you should write for, let's say, the implant page, the title should read, "Missing a tooth? Get a dental implant." The description should read, "Whether you need one tooth, two teeth, or need to replace an entire smile or full arch, give us a call, free consultations. We take care of the surgery and restoration." That is loaded with keywords, and when somebody reads it, they're like, damn, that's exactly what I'm looking for, right? But instead, some people will just say dental implants, dental implants, dental implants. One dental implant, two dental implant surgery, need dental implants. Sure, Google would consider that to be keyword rich, but when a patient reads that, do you think they're going to click on it? No, of course not. It looks like clickbait. They're not going to click on it. So you've got to make sure that you are manipulating the title and description for every single page of your website. So every single page is going to have a different title, different description. Same thing with the blog pages. Every page you add, different title, different description. Next, something called local business schema. This is essentially a page of code that you add to your website that helps Google Maps find and navigate local businesses to present to local searchers. The closer someone is to your office, the higher you get found on their search results. Okay? Now, the reason why you want to optimize, well, because when somebody puts in a keyword into Google, essentially what you want to have happen is that specific page show up. So you can actually see, it's not going to show up, but you can see the indented one. The first page is there, and then they only have one sub-page. The implant page isn't there, the root canal page isn't there, the peds page isn't there. I typed in ortho, so the only page I see is ortho. So all the patient has to do is basically just click on it, and they find what they're looking for in one click. You don't go to the home page, go to the services page, and go to orthodontics. You basically just type in what you need and be directed to the correct page. After that is Google Business Profile. How many of you, just by show of hands, have access to your Google Business Maps page? 2, 3 people, 4, 5? Okay, what you want to do is you want to Google yourself. If you have a profile, you can easily claim it. It literally just says, claim now. Okay, very, very simple. Then what you want to do is you want to edit your profile. So once you have access and you've gone through the verification steps, you want to edit the profile. This will take anywhere between 3 to 5 hours to do, because you're updating your pictures, your services, your hours of operation, your holiday hours, a description about your business, insurance information, social media pages, everything. It's going to take 3 to 5 hours. Now, if you have multiple locations, you can actually, Google gives you a special system to be able to categorize them. Beyond that, look at this, the Maps page. I just want to make sure everyone's paying attention to this one, okay? This specific point, because it's very important. You scroll down on your Maps page, and there is a specific section where you can make updates about your business. This is basically like writing a small blog or a social media post directly on the Maps page of your profile. Each one of these posts is optimized. So you can write a post about a new staff member, about a holiday special, about whatever. And each one of these is optimized for Google, okay? Very important. And then respond to your reviews. You can do that through the same profile. Now I'm going to talk about reviews in a little bit, but the Google Business Profile is definitely something that you want to set up and set it up correctly right from day one. Now once you do Google, you're going to do the same thing on Bing. How many of you use Microsoft Bing? one of you, and I know 30% of you use it because it's the default browser from Microsoft. Google and Bing look almost identical. So next time you Google something or think you're Googling it, you might actually be Binging it, which is interesting. So because it's 30% of the world's searches still use it, we want to set up your Bing profile. So you're not going to spend 3 to 5 hours doing this. What you're going to do is you're going to go to bing.com, you're going to log in using your Google credentials. After you log in, you're going to sync your Google and Bing profile together. Once the profiles are synced, you can update it. This process will take 5 minutes. You log in, you say, Google, give me everything. Google gives everything to Bing. Bing says, hey, here's your profile. Just make sure it's right. You update it takes 5 minutes to make sure that the pictures, hours, industry is everything is correct. 5 minutes and you have a profile on Bing. Pretty easy, right? Next, you want to use a chatbot. How many of you have a chatbot on your website? Show of hands. Really? 3, 4 of you? Okay, how many of you hate using a chatbot personally? I know everybody does, right? But understand a chatbot is a conversion tool, right? A phone number, a click to call now is a conversion tool. A web form is a conversion tool. A book online is a conversion tool, just like a chatbot, okay? It is just a way that someone can communicate with your practice, okay? Because not everybody has the ability to call, and not everybody wants to fill out a web form and wait 3 days to get a response. So chatbots, there's 2 types of them. You can have a live chat that requires an agent to respond, or you can have a chat bot that is an automated response system. So what I prefer is a bot. A bot is an automated response. Now, there are 2 types of bots. You have, everyone uses this term AI. Anybody who says that their chatbot is AI, call them on it, tell them it's bullshit, they don't do it. Pardon my French, but true AI, I have a list of every single keyword in the entire English language. Based on what you told me, this bot will put together a response and will give it to you. That is not what they're doing, because a system like that will cost thousands of dollars to run on your website every month. Okay? Here's a special AI bot, $100 a month. Is it AI? No, it's not. Okay? That's what true AI is. What they're typically doing is they're building a simple algorithm with a bunch of responses that will spit out a response based on what somebody types in. Okay? That's one way to do it. The other way to run a bot is that you have preset responses and preset answers. So all you have to do is select the best answer for you and it takes you down a pathway. Okay? The problem with having free text options where somebody could type in a question is that it leaves room for human error. People have spelling mistakes or grammar mistakes and then the bot doesn't understand what you're saying and it says, I'm sorry, please repeat that. I'm sorry, please repeat that. I'm sorry. And then the person gets pissed and they leave. Okay, so it's very important to make sure that you're using the right type of bot for your office. Okay? So what you want to do is you want to set up all the different scenarios, and the scenarios can be grouped together or they can be categorized based on procedures. Then what you can do is you build a story for each one of these scenarios. So what's the bot going to say when the person engages with this component? Then what you do is you tie them together. So the first column talks about cosmetics. At the end, it says, do you want to book an appointment for cosmetics? Do you want to learn about veneers, bonding, or teeth whitening? And the person says, you know what? Tell me about teeth whitening. The bot says, okay, here's the info on teeth whitening. Do you want to book an appointment for teeth whitening? Learn about bonding, veneers, or something else? The person says, you know what? Let's book an appointment. And so what ends up happening is they book the appointment and the bot says, all right, can I get your name, your email, your phone number, best time to call, and primary concern? So then you end up getting an email similar to what looks like this. It says, hey, Brandon's looking for, teeth whitening. Here's his contact information and his chat history. Please give him a call. So all you have to do is pick up the phone. Now I say that, pick up the phone and call. Do not email them back, because what's the percentage of emails that go into the spam box? 80%. So you pick the phone up. You say, hey, Brandon, just got the message. Yeah, sure, we can get you in this Thursday for teeth whitening. Oh my God, that was amazing. Those patients like this was great. Pick up the phone and call them back. Very important, okay? I'm gonna explain why in a few slides. Okay? And this is how a bot should be functioning. It gives you it gives you a question and a series of responses. We've tested out the ones that have the live chat responder. They don't work because if you don't get a response to that patient within 5 seconds, you've lost them, okay? And also the ones that leave room for you to text back, also problems because of human error. So instead, it's a lot easier to just have preset responses and preset answers, okay? Now, after this, we want to build your website popularity. So you have everything in place now. You got the domain, the website, the optimization, you got the chatbot ready to go. Now you want to start building up yourself, okay? The best way to do that is to get found on directories. Now, there's lots of different directories that you could possibly get found on. And what you want to do is you want to make sure all the information on the directory is accurate. Whatever you just put on Google, you are going to add here. And the reason being is because the last item on this list is called a backlink. It's a website URL. The more backlinks you have, the higher you get found online. However, the caveat is that the information needs to be accurate. If it's not, the backlink does not count. So it's very important to make sure that your information, whatever you put on Google, is 100% accurate to the directory. Now, instead of doing this on an individual basis, you're going to work with something called an aggregator. An aggregator is basically a business that controls groups of directories. So as one aggregator, hey, I want to start working with this directory. I want to start working with this directory. Okay? There are local aggregators that work with local directories. There's national ones that work with big ones, and then there's industry-specific aggregators that work with industry-specific directories. Okay? Now, there are different types of aggregators beyond that. Some are consumer that you can work with, and some are commercial that we can work with. Some are free, paid, large, small, lots of different types. So you're not just going to work with one aggregator, you're going to work with as many as you possibly can in your city, in your state, and in your country, and as a dentist and as a medical professional. So there's lots of different aggregators you could possibly work with. Okay? Now, the reason you do this is because it helps build links for your website. Linking is a very important thing on Google. The more places you get found, the higher your page on Google. So there are 3 types of links. You have internal link that goes from page to page of your website. You have external links that go from your page to an external source. You have directory links that go from an external source back to your website. You need all 3. Now, what's really cool is that Google Search Console, I explained it earlier with the keywords that you have and how you rank for each one. Another part of that system also lets you see the links that you have and where they are. So if, let's say, Yellow Pages is missing from your list, you're like, why? Let me go find it. And then you find your listing on Yellow Pages and you fix the problems. Okay? Everyone's with me so far? Perfect. If anyone needs some candy, I have some up here, okay? Now, website accessibility. I'm sure all of you have seen that little blue feature on the side of the page. Look on the left-hand side. Sometimes it's a question mark, an exclamation point, a guy in a wheelchair, glasses, right? It's basically a feature you add to your website that allows you to customize bits and pieces of your website for somebody with a disability. I myself am colorblind, so I use this feature sometimes to be able to spot colors on a website. If you're vision impaired, the text of the actual website can increase, or the website can be read to you. If you're deaf, the website can be closed captions for its videos. If you're dyslexic, it can change bits and pieces of the font to make sure that you can read it. So it helps people with disabilities to be able to use your site. That's its primary function. Its secondary function is that it gives your website a technological advancement. The more advanced you make your website, the higher you get found on Google. Okay? Next, you want to ask for reviews. Now, there are 4 ways to generate reviews. The first and best way is through a survey. This is basically something you send to your patients post-appointment. The patient clicks the survey, they complete it. It's like, rank this out of a scale of 1 to 10, okay? If the survey comes back above 90%, the survey should be able to redirect you to Google to leave you a review. If it scores below 90%, it just says, thanks, have a great day, right? This way it keeps any negative comments offline. That is the best way to generate both feedback and reviews for your business. Next is a sign in the waiting room or an operatory. The best doctor I've ever seen, when you lean back in his chair, he's got a QR code on his ceiling that says, give me a 5-star review. It doesn't say give me, it says, please leave us a review with a QR code. So you can just scan it while you're in the chair while he's working on your teeth. Next is you could ask for it during the appointment. Now, this one might be a little bit hard to do, like, hey, here's your bill for $5,000, can I have 5-star review, right? Or like you're like working on the crown with the patient, you're like, hey, can I get 5 stars, right? So pick and choose your moments if you're going to do that. Next is you want to ask, or you could send an email post-appointment, like, hey, it was a pleasure seeing you today. You know, would you please leave me a 5-star review? Here's our Google page, you know, Dr. Brandon or whatever it is, right? Now, what's really important is that it's not just the review that Google indexes, but the response to the review. So if you had 1,000 reviews and all of them were just the thumbs up emoji, but I had one review that said I'm the best dentist in LA, I'm going to show up above you every single time. Because the content in the review is indexed. If you Google anything right now, just like best dentist near me, look at the maps section and you'll see some bolded words. Those bolded words have to do with your words that you put into Google, and Google's highlighting the words that are most relevant to your search. Okay, so it's not just the review that is indexed, but when you respond to the review, it's also indexed. So if you just say, thanks for the review, do you think Google cares? But instead, you give a response to the actual review itself. You say, thank you so much for the review. We want to make sure everyone has the best dental experience when they visit Brandon Dentistry. If you need anything for an emergency or children or anything in the future, give us a call. Here's our phone number. Okay, now you also have to make sure it's HIPAA compliant, so you can't be dropping, it was a pleasure seeing you. Even saying that, you just admitted that they were a patient at your practice. Can't do it. Very important with your word choice, okay? Now, it's not just your patients that can leave reviews. Your staff can leave reviews, what it's like working with you. Your vendors can leave reviews. How many of you have bought something today? Go back to them and ask to give you a 5-star review. And guess what? There's no rule that says that you, your friends, and your family can't leave a review for you. There's no rule that says that. How many of you have left a review for yourself? Exactly. Google, Yellow Pages, RateMD's, Health Grades, Yelp. That's 5 places you can leave a review. How many friends and family members do you have? I could probably name like 30 people right now that can go online and leave me a review. How many do you have? Yeah, exactly. None of you have doing, there's no rule that says that you can't do that. I don't know why people are like, oh, it's icky. Who cares? It's 30 reviews you're going to get today. Put them online. Tell them to write tons of keywords for you. Why would you not do that? It gets me so frustrated. Get your damn reviews, people. Okay, I'm tired of seeing offices that have 1 review. Now, Google Ads. Everyone wants to know about Google Ads. First thing you're going to do on Google Ads is you're going to link your natural, organic data to Google Ads. Okay, that's the first thing you're going to do. You're going to plug your organic data directly into your ads profile. And I'll explain why in just a couple points. Then what you're going to do is you're going to tell Google, all right, I only want you to promote for these specific things. You know, root canals, emergencies, extractions, wisdom teeth removal, cleanings, family dentistry, stuff like that. Google's going to say, okay, well, based on those, here's the list of keywords that we have. So you have to go through them. Yes, no, yes, no. I do want to show up for free dental consultations. I do not want to show up for free dental work. So you kind of have to go through them all, okay? Once you pick the keywords, you got to pick the best time of day to promote. Fun fact, best time of day to promote is all the time. Okay? Think about the average patient. Think about your average day. I have 2 kids. The only time I have to work out for myself, I'm telling you my day, okay? The only time I have to work out is at 5 a.m. So I go at 5 a.m., I come home, I wake the kids up at 7. I get them ready for school. I got 2 kids, they're 7 and 2. Okay? My wife and I get them ready. Primarily it's my wife. I go take my shower, we eat breakfast, we bring them to school. It's 9 o'clock, I'm already at the office starting my day. I'm in meetings after meeting after meetings, dealing with my staff, dealing with waste management, dealing with, insurance, and dealing with all this fun stuff that you get to deal with as a business owner. Then by the time I get home at 6 o'clock, then we've got to make dinner, we got to take the kids to karate class, we got to get the bedtime routine. It's 9 o'clock. Do you think I have time to call a dentist? No, I don't. So the best time of day to promote is literally all the time. Monday through Sunday, between 6 in the morning until 11 o'clock at night. It's okay that you get a lead over the weekend or when your office is closed. Call them back, they know you're not open. Just call them back the next day, okay? Or when you're available. Sorry about that. So very important, you want to promote all the time. Now the reason you don't want to promote from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m., you really don't want to deal with those patients anyway. It's not the type of person you're looking for. Now, content. It's Saturday. It's 6 o'clock. Somebody types in best teeth whitening provider near me. What does your ad say? Now, the first item on this list, I said to connect your Google Analytics with your Google Ads. There's a reason why. Okay, the best type of content, there's actually two. There's two types. Normally, a marketing agency will say, hey, somebody's looking for teeth whitening, so we're gonna have an ad that says, need teeth whitening, call today. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's called a simplistic ad. Then you can start creating more complex ads by using the Google Analytics data and plugging it into your ads. So this is where you start to get really intuitive with your content. So let's just say I build an audience group around people that travel great distances every single day. I can assume that they're going to work. Or people that maybe are looking up wedding venues and wedding dresses and wedding gowns and bridesmaids, and then they look up teeth whitening. I can assume that those people are getting married, right? So what I'll do is I'll build a piece of content for these people saying, don't have time for in-office whitening? Try our take-home whitening kits. Then I'll build an ad for these people and I'll say, hey, big life event coming up, try getting a brighter smile today. Have you ever Googled something like, I don't know, dog food or a camera, and then you've seen an ad for that same thing not 5 minutes later? It's exactly what I'm talking about, okay? Now, is the budget? How much money do you spend? Well, like how much money you got? Like realistically, how many patients you're looking for, right? Understand though that there is going to be a limit on how much money you spend on Google Ads. There is a limit. So let's just say the only thing that you want to promote for is teeth whitening. Within 3 miles around your office, there's only so many people that are going to click on your ad within a month, okay? There's only so many people. So let's say you want to spend $10,000. Google comes back to you and says, I was only able to spend $3,000. There's nobody else. So what you have to do is you have to expand the geographic radius. The problem with that is that the more you expand out, the less chances that that patient's going to show up for their appointment. So beyond 7 miles, your show percentage drops to less than 30%. So your ideal is 7 miles or less. Nobody's going to travel more than an hour to get to a dentist. And typically, that threshold at 7 miles, you're advertising for things that people are willing to travel for. Okay? Very, very important. So if you don't have an appropriate budget, you also have to understand you can't bid on the right keywords. You can't bid on the right times of day. You won't be able to compete with your competitors. I mean, realistically, if your budget's less than like $2,000 in Los Angeles, don't even advertise. There's actually better things you should be doing. Okay? Now, anything you put into Google, you should expect between 2 and 8 times in return. 2 to 8 times. So be realistic with your goals. If you're making $1 million a year, okay, and you put $1,000 into Google Ads, don't expect $50,000 in business. Like, is that realistic? Like, that's way better than the stock market. What are you, crazy? The typical is between 2 and 8 times. Okay, so you put in 1,000, you're gonna get between 2 and 8 grand back. Now, if somebody's making $1 million a year, that's like $80,000 a month. Is like $3,000 or $4,000 a month really that noticeable? I mean, you have fluctuation every single month of between 10 and 15 grand. Is a couple grand really that noticeable? Not really, right? So spend according to your risk tolerance and to how much you want to grow, okay? Now, beyond Google Ads is Facebook. Now, I start with Facebook and Instagram because they're the ones that everybody knows. So what you want to do is you want to complete your profile and then you want to link Facebook and Instagram together, okay? Once Facebook and Instagram are set up and linked together, you want to automate the responses. So Facebook and Instagram have an automatic response system that says, hey, welcome to our page. Here's our hours and contact information. Need any help? Then what you want to do is you want to set up the Pixel. The Pixel is an automated response system that allows us to track demographic information. So that way we can see age, gender, marital status, kids, job, stuff like that. I won't be able to tell individual specific information about one person, but I can start creating audience groups. Then what I do is I build posts targeted towards the top amount of people that are engaging with you. So if people are primarily looking at you to see your reviews, or if they're looking at you and we find out that they primarily have kids, then that's what we're going to build the posts around. Okay? And then we want to engage with them. So if they comment, we reply. If they share, we share back. If they like one of their posts, we like one of theirs. That's how a social media page is managed, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, Twitter, or whatever. Okay? You look at the pixel, create the post, engage. Look at the pixel, create the post, and engage. Now, once you have a history of creating solid content what you want to do is you want to, oh, sorry, I forgot about this one. 2 posts a week minimum. You want to post on Facebook and Instagram 2 posts a week. If you're doing Reels or TikTok or YouTube, it's once a month, you'd be fine, once every 2 weeks, right? With Reels and stuff like that, you're going to be posting maybe daily, TikToks daily, okay? Once you have a history of creating solid content, you want to promote it on Meta. Now Meta is basically Facebook or Instagram ad system, okay? So what you want to do is you want to build the audience groups. So you remember that pixel data we discussed, like on the last page, like job, marital status, kids, stuff like that? What you're going to do is you're going to build audiences. Here's an audience group for men, an audience group for women, people with children, without children, people under 30, people over 30. Then what you're going to do is you're going to build posts targeted towards these groups of people. Like 5 posts for them, 6 posts for them, 7 posts for them, 9 posts for them, 20 posts for them. You're going to let Facebook sort out which one performs better. Then you're going to select your time frame, frequency, radius, and budget. After that, you engage, just like you do on your standard Facebook profile posts, except for these posts, these are shown to people who are not following you. These are shown to everybody else in the same geographic radius you're in. So not only is this going to help generate more patients, it's also going to help generate more followers for you. Now, once that's done, you want to review and modify, okay? So every system I just explained does something different. So your website traffic is going to tell you where people came from, how long they stayed, what the bounce rate is, and a bunch of other information. Google Analytics is going to tell you the keywords that somebody typed in and times a day that they searched. Facebook Analytics is going to tell you demographic details. So you take one system to improve the other, okay? So what I mean by that is I look at your Google Analytics and it says, hey, here's all the information for your analytics. You're primarily getting men over the age of 65 looking at implants. So what do? I go to Facebook and I create an implant post targeting men over the age of 65. Then I go to your website and I change all the imagery for implants related to men over the age of 65. Because more people who land on that page are gonna resonate with it and be able to convert. Y'all with me on that? Good. Now, everything I've just explained up to this point has primarily been digital, but there is a ton of non-digital options that you can promote your office with. So here's everything that has historically worked, but you have to do it the right way. Printed flyers, radio, buses, billboards, having a commercial at the beginning of a movie theater, community sponsorships, business partnerships. How many of you have a tanning salon near your office? Go in there with a poster and say, can I put this poster in every tanning bed? Get a brighter body, get a brighter smile, right? Just partner with the owner. Okay, and then you got seminars for the kids in nursing homes and stuff like that. Some other cool ideas that you can try, packages to colleagues. If there's something you do that nobody else does, let them know. And I'm not just talking about other dental professionals. Medical offices, a family doctor does not deal with teeth. He's gonna okay, well, here's a dentist that's around the corner, right? Presents for kids. The holidays just passed. Holidays are coming up. Next holiday season, you can do this for any holiday, but I'm just gonna take Christmas. Get a Christmas tree, put it under your, get a bunch of presents at the dollar store, wrap them and put them under your tree. Okay, then what you're gonna do is you're gonna give a present to every single kid who walks through the door. But you can't be like, hey, go pick one. You gotta be like, hey, here's a present, don't open until Christmas, okay? They're gonna be like, okay, right? They're gonna take it home, put it under their tree. Next January, you're gonna get a ton of referrals. Okay, plans for businesses. How many of you have large corporations around you? Okay, schools. You can go in there and just be like, hey, if I gave you all 10% off, would you send all of your staff to my office? I had one office, I'm from Toronto, Canada, 3,000 miles away. I had one office do that for what's called the TTC, which is a gigantic, they do all the buses and trains for Toronto, okay? They have one office right in front of their, they have one TTC office right in front of their practice. They went in, asked, and they agreed on 15% discount. They got 500 new patients basically overnight. I'm not saying you have to do it like that, but man, that is a great way to generate business. And then partnerships with sports teams. If there's any hockey, football, whatever, go in, say, hey, I'll give you a couple grand, let me do a couple seminars throughout the year, okay? In exchange for doing those seminars and giving the money, you could say, hey, you know what, every kid in here is gonna get a free mouth guard. Bring the kid in with a new patient exam. Bring the kid in, do the mouth guard, Now you're going to get them as a patient, and you're going to get mom or dad and their siblings. Great way to generate business. Now, I know we're at time, but we started late, so if anyone wants to leave, that's cool. I'm not going to take offense by it. Next are images and videos. Okay? So, very important. There's different types of pictures. You got your logo, your headshots, you got your operatories, and then you got pictures with patients. So overall, if you want to generate more patients for families, you have to include pictures of kids. If you want more pictures for cosmetics, you have to include before and afters. And then if you want more pictures or you want more patients in general, you have to make sure that you are doing community events and you're taking pictures. Okay, very important. Now, one thing that I did, I run an international business, okay? Marketing, obviously, doctor marketing. I sponsored my son's sports team, but I didn't write doctor marketing on it. You can if you want to. I chose not to, right? Instead, what I wrote on the back of the kids' jerseys is Pokemon trainer. So the kids all got it. They're 7 years old. I coach his baseball team, right? The kids all got it. They went crazy. They're like, oh my God, Pokemon, Pokemon, right? But then what I do is I take a picture with the kids and I put it on my website and I say what we do. Okay? I'm saying you guys can do the exact same thing. Why would you not? Right? Now, where you're going to add these pictures and videos? To your website, to your Google, your Bing pages, your social media, your printed flyers, your emailed newsletters. You're going to add them everywhere. That's how people start to remember you, because they can remember the picture. You use it in more than one place, they're going to be like, oh yeah, I know who they are, right? Now, what's really important is that there's a form of optimization here. Do not just use a picture and put it on social media or your website and call it image_1264XYQ. You use that, Google's going to have no idea what the hell that is in that picture. They're going to be like, image X25815Q, like what is that? Right? Google can't see. So they're relying on you to write in something called alt text. It's ALT text. Okay? Picture's worth 1,000 words. Describe in the file name what the picture is. Dentist, a pediatric dentist in Alaska helping like small girl child with glasses. So the next time somebody goes to Google and types in anything related to that and they click on Google Images, that's what they're going to see. Okay? Now we want to combine your marketing efforts. Do not start from scratch. So, emailed newsletters and social media go hand in hand. If you spend time creating a newsletter, take the message, apply it on social media. Really that simple. Creative versus general brand. What's your brand? Why would someone choose to come to you versus the dentist down the street? What separates you from them? You have a nice smile, they have a nice smile. You have great staff, they have great staff. Same education. Why would someone choose to come to you? And that's what you have to figure out for yourself. What do you want to be known for? Then you got blogging and SEO. It's not a chicken and egg, guys. Search engine optimization comes first. Okay? Blogging comes second. No one cares if you add a blog to your website and you don't optimize it. Print marketing with Google and Meta. Print marketing does work, but typically it's done once you have everything else set up. Okay? Normally the turnaround on print is one person will call you out of 1,000 pieces. But if I hammered an area geographically on Google, then I hammer the same area on social, then I hammer that same area with a print campaign, that print campaign will now perform 2 to 3 times better. Okay? Because what ends up happening, patient gets the print mail, they're like, garbage. Then they go to social media, they're like, hey, I've seen that name before. Yeah. Now they need a dentist, so they're going to type in best dentist. They see a Google ad, they're like, hey, I know them, click. Okay? So all these things work in tandem with each other. Next, personal and stock photos and videos. It's okay to use stock photos, guys. Okay? No one knows what the hell an inlay or an onlay is when you're using a picture of a real patient. Okay? So it's okay to use stock photos for stuff like that. And then digital and non-digital. You want to grow, they both have to coexist. Oh, sorry, I'll back that up for you. There you go. Okay? Now, bonus tip, work with a professional. Okay? Instead of trying to do this yourself, which you could do everything I just explained. It is vastly more complicated than what I'm making it sound like. Okay? A lot of it has to do with consistency. It's much easier to work with someone who can do this for you. So you want to make sure that the company that you're working with can update content, images, colors, keywords, directories, renew licenses, security, attract media, write blogs, manage social, print, and ads, and more. That's what a marketing company should do. Now, the benefit of working with Doctor Marketing is that we do this with dental expertise, which means we are HIPAA and WK compliant. We know the content behind the procedures, and we know how to explain it in a way that's not going to get you in trouble with the association. Okay? Now, common marketing mistakes. There's a lot of mistakes. Let's go through them, but I bullet point for you so they're quick. Do not use the word guarantee, love, best, or state of the art in anything that you do. Okay? Testimonials and reviews. Do not place written testimonial on your website. You just broke HIPAA compliance by doing that. Okay? Now, even if you don't put the person's name, don't do it, because no one's going to read that, and it's not going to be the same effect than it would be if you were to do a video. Okay? Video testimonials are always preferred. The identifiable features are right on camera. They agreed to it. You're good. Okay? Respond to all reviews. But if it's a negative review and you don't have anything nice to say, do not say anything to them. It's okay not to respond to bad reviews, okay? Incentives. Do not give away money to earn reviews or referrals. Do not do it. You're attracting the wrong type of patient. They're basically there for the incentive and then gone when you try to recall them. Very important. If the name of the game here is retention, there are way better options to get retention. We can talk about it afterwards. Now, do not list any study groups, continuing education courses, or positions you hold at the association. You basically just can't make yourself seem better than somebody else. Contact information, using the incorrect title or designation. The funniest guy I've ever seen was a pediatric dentist from Utah. He called himself the Supreme Dental Ruler. You cannot do that, okay? So just dentist, DDS, DMD, whatever your designation is. Multiple websites for the same practice, don't do it, that's how you get blacklisted. I spoke to some other guy in Minnesota, no joke, the guy has 4 websites for the same office. Okay, complete waste of money, don't do that. Okay, directory mistakes, fix the problems, it costs you business, even if it's 1 patient a year. Okay, marketing, promoting for services you don't offer. Obviously you shouldn't do that. Plagiarism, Plagiarism, improper explanations, obviously you shouldn't do that. Okay? And then an improper marketing budget. If your budget's too low, you're not getting the results you need. If it's too high, you could be overspending on very basic services. Okay? So what should your marketing budget be? We interviewed 100 different marketing agencies over the last 3 years and put together their averages. So web design typically will cost between $1,000 and $10,000, depending on if it's a template or custom. Emails will usually be between 10 to 100 a month by the average marketing company. Chatbot systems are usually between 50 to 300 a month. Updating directory listings between 50 to 300 a month. The review booster, which is that survey that can redirect patients based on positive feedback, usually it's between 50 to 300 a month. Search engine optimization is usually between 250 to 500. That's the dynamic version, guys, the dynamic version. Social media is the same, 250 to 500. That depends on the posts and it depends on the platform. And then ads. Usually the average company will charge you 15 to 25%. Okay? So if your budget is $1,000, most marketing companies will charge you 20%. Everything added up should be 1 to 4% of annual sales. You're making $1 million, you should be spending anywhere between $10,000 and $40,000 a year. Now you could spend less if you're about to retire. You could spend more if you want to grow. Okay? But on average, it's between 1 and 4%. Now, is your marketing working? Here's a couple tips and tricks. Look at your website on all device sizes to make sure that it formats correctly. If it doesn't, update it, because most of the time when somebody designs a website, you're only looking at the desktop version. Fun fact, 70% of people are using your smartphone. So look at it on all device sizes. Here's a special trick if you want to write this one down. Okay? Right-click on your website, click View Page Source. Okay, right-click, View Page Source. This will show you the code of the website. What you're going to look for is something called title and description. It's going to be highlighted in blue text. Okay, you remember when we went over title and description when we were talking about optimization? You can do this on every single page of your site to see if the person you're paying for optimization is actually doing their job. Okay? Next, social media and blogging. Look at the pictures. Look at the content. Look at the message. Look at the images. Look at the color scheme. Are you happy with it? Because ultimately this is your brand. Okay, and then your ad spend. Okay, most patients will cost you between $150 to $250 to generate. They could be less than this if it's an emergency. It could be more than this if you're promoting for things like implants or ortho. But on average, it's between $150 to $250 to generate. Okay. Another reason for the fluctuation has to do with your staff. If your staff picked up the phone and say, "Thank you for calling Brandon Dentistry, we're busy right now, hang on 1 second." Patient's like, "What the hell was that?" Guys, you have to make sure your staff are trained properly, okay? Very, very important. The other thing that you don't want to do is you don't want to piss the patient off by saying, "I'm sorry, we're not available then." "No, we're not available then either." "No, we're not available then." It's like, okay, well, why don't you tell me, when are you free? Right? The patient's going to get so frustrated with you. Okay, very important. Okay, another important thing is do a follow-up. So many times, I don't even believe this, that I've looked, we're expanding into software. So one thing that I looked at, how many missed calls your office has. Okay, and then how many times you've called those missed calls back. 0 is the answer. Do you have any idea a new patient will call you? You don't pick up the phone. They're not leaving you a message 9 times out of 10. They're just hanging up. They'll add a note for themselves, for themselves, and they'll say, "Call back tomorrow." Do you think they're going to remember to call you back? Do your staff pick up that missed call and call the patient back? No. That is a gold mine of business. Every missed call needs to be called back. Every single one. Some of those people will try to pitch you services, which is fine. Just be like, "No, I'm not interested, bye." Right? But then what you have to do is you have to call back those missed patients. You would not believe the amount of patients you're missing by not calling missed calls back. Super important. The other problem, when you get a web form, a contact form that says, "Hey, please call me, I'm interested in booking an appointment." You know what your staff will do? They're going to call the lead. Patient didn't pick up, I'm not leaving a voicemail. Click. You know what they're going to do to that lead? Right in the garbage. That lead just cost you $60 on average to generate. Guys, you got to pay attention to the lead flow that's coming into your office. It's very, very important, okay? Now, a little bit about Dr. Marketing. We are a full service marketing team, which means if you need anything, just call. Anything that has patient communication or put your logo on it, we can deal with, okay? We specialize only in working with dental practices. That's all we do. Our service has no term contracts. Start today and tomorrow. Nobody ever does, but you could leave if you want to. Right? We save the average office 36 hours a month. You could do this yourself, but it would take you about a week every month to do. Okay? What's your time worth? Now, we like to take our time, be easy to understand, and offer effective and efficient service. And what's really cool is we've got partnerships with some pretty big companies. You can actually find us on their websites. So, I mean, if Google trusts us enough to put us on their partnership network, I think it's pretty safe to say you can trust us. Okay? Now, in terms of services, we offer literally everything. Literally everything I just explained and then some. There are 3 kinds of advertising. You have digital advertising that deals with websites and graphics and Google and social. You have external advertising that deals with print campaigns and billboards and creating commercials and radios. And then you have internal campaigns that deals with patient engagement, doing giveaways for your patients or plush toys for kids or lip balms. Guys, we can do everything. You just have to tell us what you're looking for and we can make it happen, okay? Now, I put together some case studies. Last time I was here at the CDA, not everybody was from California. Actually, I think I only spoke to a small handful of people that were from California. They were from everywhere. So I put together some locations from everywhere. I don't know if y'all can see this, if the text is too small. Different offices, different locations are doing different things. I've got offices that spend $100 a month in marketing. I have one office in Houston, no joke, is spending $39,000 a month in advertising. 39 grand, but he's an orthodontist and he makes well over $500,000 in business a month, okay? Very important. It doesn't matter how much money you want to spend right now. What does matter is that every single person who does marketing needs to start basic. It's great that you have good goals, but understand that we are not McDonald's. You can't just come in and order a number 9 and expect us to do it for you, okay? What we do is we put everything on a back burner. We have to know if these things are going to work for you before we actually start doing them, okay? Basically, what I don't want to do is I don't want to take your money and say, hey, that worked, but then you see all the wasted spend on the floor, right? Take your time with it, guys, okay? So, that's the end of the presentation. Thanks for staying the extra few minutes. I appreciate it. If anybody has any questions, you can scan this for a quote. We can get in touch. I can give you some communication. All right, guys, that's all. Thanks a bunch.